So now we're going to take a closer look at some of Colin's shooting sequences. And to do this, Colin will simply take a few shots and I will make some comments on them. Yes, you can see quite well again from behind when you see this total area that is available to us. Colin is standing slightly to the left of the center. He actually does this quite deliberately so that his center of gravity, his rifle, is about 5 to 7 centimeters to the left of the range. Not everyone does that. Many align themselves centrally. The important thing is that you always align yourself the same way. So you can see now that Colin stays at the top of his sights. We'll show you again later so that he moves out of the position, and take a look at the head movements in particular. Now we'll put him down again to demonstrate the insertion. So now he has to use his supporting cell bow again. He has to check the insertion of the rifle again at the back. Again, also check the insertion of the trigger hand and the insertion of the hand on the stock or on the handrest. You can see that when he puts the gun down, he has released his hand here and the gun is still a little bit in the back. But he will redo all the insertion points again here on the shoulder, the left hand, right hand, and butt plate. Of course, the butt plate must also be put back in place. Now stay still on top. And then unload and take another shot. Now you can see that there is very little movement. He only has to put his right hand and cheek back on. Everything else keeps its position. Minimizes the movements. Now the aiming begins. Colin, what do you do before you aim? If you already have the rifle up before you start aiming, what are you doing? It looks to the observer as if you're already aiming, but you're not aiming yet.
Nope.
What's happening there?
I usually look past or down, and then I check my balance again to make sure I'm standing still. And when I found my balance, then I look around, don't start breathing. So I stop, breathe out. When I'm standing correctly, I go into the target from above.
So, important thing, finding the balance. To find the balance. The second thing that certainly also takes place during this phase is also checking the muscle tension. Above all, where do you check your muscle tension when you're above the target?
Everywhere, actually. Which points are particularly important to you? Legs. In any case, then the right shoulder and the left arm.
Exactly. These are the two important muscle groups that are tested in standing position. Here the muscles complete relaxed, and here at the back we need good stability, but then also a relaxed right shoulder. I think this is still important in the preparation phase where a check of muscle tension and balance takes place. Before getting to the target, and in standing position, always comes from above the target. vertically from above into the target, how do you actually get into the middle of the target? How far over the top are you at the start? Where would you say you would shoot before you take your aim?
I would say in the 1s or 2s. So at the top, just above the black, so that I'm just cracking the black with the front ring side.
And then how do you get down?
Through mostly muscle relaxation.
Through residual muscle relaxation, especially in the shoulders.
The shoulders?
Both shoulders. The decisive factor is not by tipping forward, but by a residual relaxation in the right and left shoulder. You see a lot of shooters who then stand too high and come down by tilting the position. Completely fatal. The height must be correct, and then the upper body position remains the same. There is only a residual relaxation of the left and right shoulder. Good. Stay at the firing position. In other words, keep your head on. I'll block the rear sight for you now. And Colin, how long could you stay like this?
Like this?
Minutes, seconds?
Seconds, hours in any case.
Days?
Maybe a minute or so.
You could probably stand for 10 minutes if you're breathing. When I breathe, yes. You can breathe, of course. That means if I leave you standing here like this, you don't need any strength in the supporting arm. That's very important. Colin doesn't need any strength here in the support arm. We could stand here like this for a long time and he wouldn't mind at all. And the second crucial thing is that if Colin stands here for a long time, his height doesn't change. In simpler terms, if I were to take my hand away from this spot right now, he will still be at the same height as before. Yes, and we could play this game forever. In other words, the height adjustment in the standing position is a very, very important factor. And this height adjustment has to be right. If Colin were too high now, what would you do then? The butt plate down, exactly. And vice versa, if he was standing too low, he would probably move the butt plate up a little. There are, of course, other ways of correcting the height adjustment via the legs. So if we bring the legs a little closer together, we'll get a little lower. If we spread the legs further apart, we will move up a little because the hip bone will then come forward. We have another option to change the height adjustment by moving the position of the supporting hand slightly backwards. Then it goes upwards. If we move it forward a little, it goes down. However, these are all fine adjustment options. You can also adjust the height of this hand support. There are some that are infinitely adjustable. There are others that can be adjusted in increments. These things are for the coarse height adjustment, for the fine height adjustment, which you have to redo them from shooting range to shooting range. We use the butt plate at the back. First and foremost, the butt plate. If that is ever too much, then we have to work on other positions as well. But shooting ranges are always different heights. The measurement of a shooting stand has a very high tolerance in small bore. We have a measurement of 75 cm plus minus 50 cm. This means that the target may be up to 1.25 meters high. The center be at least 25 centimeters above the level of the shooter, which doesn't happen in practice. But we already have target heights between 75 centimeters and 125 centimeters. So we already have a lot of variation in contrast to the air rifle, where we only have 5 centimeter variation. But that also means that you have to set up the height again and again when you move from one range to another. And it is very important that the height is not determined by tilting the position forwards or leaning backwards too much. Instead, you have your position and the height of it must be right. A very important story. Well, that brings us to the end.